Hi, Amanda.
Hi, how are
How
you?
are you?
Good, how are you?
I am great. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining. And let me adjust my camera here. I kind of like to be able to see all of you, all of me. How are we? Are we good?
I think so. I
Amazing.
can't see
First of
my,
all, Amanda, I would like to say thank you so much for saying yes. I know usually I give people about a 2 weeks notice, but today you're like, yes, I can do this. How are you?
good, good. Thank you for the opportunity to share. I'm excited to be a part of this and hopefully give some inspiration and motivation to others that have, definitely some areas that they struggle with, and just to be able to provide some, I think, different insights into, how I live my life. So,
Right, right. So let me do a proper introduction. Amanda does have KTS just like myself, and my goal is to bring as much as us of us possible at the forefront to raise awareness for KTS and to show ourselves too that we matter. You know, we hear all about all other conditions, a lot of other conditions, this and that and the other, but for us, it's such a small community with the KTS, and I find that every day someone random just write me a message and say, oh my gosh, you have KTS and I believe I have the same thing. I'm going to take your pictures to my doctors and show them. And it's just such a great feeling to know that it's going somewhere. And I can't do it alone. And it's no fun to get there, to sit at the table by myself. So I like to bring everyone that are interested, that's willing to do the work for us to do it together, and we can sit at the table. So again, Amanda, thank you. So first question I want to ask you, we already established that you do have Klippel Trenaunay. When were you diagnosed?
I was actually diagnosed when I was 6 months old, and it took the doctors actually 6 months to come up with a diagnosis. So it basically looked like I was burnt from my neck down on my left side, and my entire left side is smaller than my right. So about an inch and a half difference between like my hands, from fingers to my foot. Everything is much smaller on my left side. So and that was like a big deal back then, because we went to like the best hospital in Michigan, and even there they didn't know what it was. So it is amazing the awareness that's out there now for this condition compared to when I was first diagnosed.
So Amanda, from my understanding, you have the smaller limbs, correct?
Correct.
Correct. Okay, someone asked, what is KTS? Would you like to take that? Would you like to answer?
Sure. It is Klippel Trenaunay syndrome, and it is very unique in the fact that no two cases are the same, and it can affect from anything from port wine stains to swelling to veins, to it can even affect internal organs. And that's what makes it so challenging, is that it is so unique, and it can be life-threatening for some people. And it's also something that we know vascularly, for me, it's my deep system. Basically now on my left leg, my deep system is shut down, so my superficial system has to take over. So, it's amazing how it just affects everyone so differently.
In addition to that, according to what I've read, 1 out of 100,000 people are affected. That's what makes it very unique to each one of us. So thank you. Thank you for answering that question. So for the person who asked, I hope you are still on and you hear what Klippel Trenaunay is. Moving forward, you already said that which part of your body is affected. It affects a lot of us differently. Some of us is in our face, our own arms, and our leg as well. Some people, it affects their rear area. But pain is pain, regardless. So in short, we know you have KTS, and you were diagnosed at 6 months, which I can honestly say you've been very lucky. I didn't get diagnosed until I was in my 20s. And from one doctor to the next, from the US and between Canada, I could not find any doctors that was able to help. I even did surgeries that did not help at all. In fact, I developed lymphedema with after surgeries. My parents and I, we traveled to Cuba in order for me to have gotten diagnosed for Klippel Trenaunay. So I must say, you've been very lucky. So tell us about your experiences with KTS in terms of growing up. What was it like? Were you bullied? How was your emotional pain, physical pain? You take it away.
Sure. No, that's great. Well, I can say that growing up, I pretty much tried to hide that I had KTS. You would never see me in shorts. You would always see me in pants with long sleeves because I didn't want to be looked at differently. And that was a huge struggle growing up. Growing up was the self-confidence that I, again, did a very good job of hiding it. But I also want to highlight that I think it made me a lot stronger. So when I was 12 years old, that is when I went back to University of Michigan is where I was diagnosed, and went to the top vascular surgeon that they had. And he told me, granted at this time I was playing basketball, softball, very active. And he told me that I will most likely lose my leg to amputation by the time I'll be 18. And I needed to stop playing all sports, and that I most likely would not have kids. So I was pretty much thinking my life was over. I remember leaving there, and here I was in middle school. I was absolutely devastated. I remember just, you know, crying. I had no idea, I had nobody to ask because I didn't know anybody that had a story of something similar to mine. And I remember going home, and my mom said, you know, you do whatever you need to do. You know, she didn't tell me I had to quit playing sports. That's what I loved at that time. I mean, I actually went into college and played basketball and softball for 1 year. And that was my passion. I didn't want to quit sports. And so I continued. And basically, I would say that that's kind of what led me on my journey. Is I decided to take my health into my own hands. The only thing I did do what he told me to is I wore compression on my left leg. And I will honestly say that that has been probably the best thing that I can do to control the pain is to keep compression on this. But fast forward to when I was then 18, I decided I wanted to go somewhere else, to probably what your parents did too, to try to find somewhere where it was like, maybe there's somewhere else that knows about this. So right. We ventured to Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, and was very impressed with what they had to tell me there. And it was so interesting, and it made me feel so good that the doctors there were like, you know, the best thing you can do is actually be moving, and you taking care of yourself has helped you to be where you're at today. And, you know, we have been there. I think I've had now a total of 6 surgeries on my leg to try to help with increasing circulation. We've done sclerotherapy and several things, but I would have to say that, you know, I really encourage people that it is something that, you know, I don't make exercise or health an option. It is mandatory for me. And that's what I've personally found. And I think that's why I actually went and got my degree in corporate fitness and wellness. So I now today have 2 businesses where I personal train, I teach group fitness classes, I'm a nutrition consultant. And, you know, I feel like it has really motivated me because I wanted to prove people wrong. I can remember growing up, like people saying, you know, well, yeah, you can't do that. You know, it was always that it makes you feel like your KTS is going to control you. And I just really knew. And I think that, you know, now that I'm getting older, until I was probably my 30s, I didn't even talk about it, to be honest with you. Like I would do like online workouts, and I would have tons of people that I would see, and they had no idea I had something wrong with me. I literally, when I was growing up, would stare at myself in the mirror and I would study my gait. I trained myself so I would not limp. Like with an 1.5 inch leg difference, I mean, you'll notice it when I run, which I still do half marathons. I'm still very active, but I really had to think about how to like position my hips so that I didn't lean. I mean, it's crazy like how much I really worked on that because again, I didn't want anybody to know. But now I said, now that I'm older, 43, and I should mention we have 5 kids. So I definitely beat the odds with also them saying that might not have kids. So yes, so I mean, it's a matter of, though, I think, you know, using that drive to let yourself know that, you know, you can be your own health advocate. That's what I teach people today is, you know, it's mind over body so many times. Like it's not easy. And I'm not going to tell you I don't struggle, but, you know, even after having a surgery, we went to Mayo, actually the end of December, and literally 2 days later, I was back teaching classes. Like, you know, I feel as though that really is a key component, is making sure that you are, you know, staying active, learning about nutrition, what foods can help keep inflammation down, help with swelling. You know, we do a lot with supplements. I also have a Shackley business. So learning the things and the tools that can help you in a natural way. Because I feel like, and I'm sure many of you have experienced this, the first thing that people go to is always doctors telling you to try a different medication. And I'm not saying that there's not a reason for those. We need them. They are life-saving for many people. But there's also things we can do to be proactive and not wait until it's too late to start look at making choices. So
I totally agree. I agree with that. And you say a lot of things. I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, I experienced that too. Wow. Especially when you mentioned about practicing your walk, just so you know, people wouldn't tell. I actually did the same. Like my walk, I have this walk, and a lot of people usually assume it's because I'm a model. That's why I walk like this. But Amanda, I practice. Like I would go to sleep with heels on just so I can walk so well that no one can tell something is actually wrong with me.
Yes, it is amazing. And you know, it's funny is every once in a while when I get tired, I don't think about it. And somebody will say, are you limping? And I'm like, oh, shoot, I forgot. So yes, I can totally relate.
Wow. It's just so crazy how we are with this condition. We are similar in so many ways. And we can just knowing that we thinking we are alone, and we're thinking that we are just in this big world with this condition by ourselves, but meeting people that are just like you, that we go through the same thing and we know what the pain is like, it's incredible. It's incredible. Someone asked the question, does any of your kids have it as well?
No, and it is not genetic. I mean, they have found that it generally is never passed down to kids. And like I said, I think when I was younger, because I'm a little bit older now, mid-40s, that, you know, they didn't think that you'd have kids if you had KTS. So I think that's why they didn't necessarily know if it could affect, you know, but no, none of our kids have any symptoms and they are all perfectly healthy. I did have to have C-sections. So we've had 5 C-sections now just to be safe, because I was always considered high risk. But, you know, overall, again, I kept teaching and doing everything throughout pregnancies too. So I think that that's a good thing to know, because I was always told, you know, oh, you'll have blood clots and you're going to have all these issues. And, you know.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you for saying that. That actually gave me some type of calmness. I don't have children just yet. And you saying that, I've always heard that. Like doctors tell me all the time, you know, whatever a pregnant woman usually go through, the symptoms that they go through, you are going to have it twice as hard. You're most likely not going to be able to. So thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that, really. Before I ask you another question, you're doing great, by the way. It's Leila said, I have never known anyone who has KTS like me. So I love hearing people who has KTS and has been through the same stuff as is me. Just like I just said, it's so refreshing to hear that, hey, you know, you are really not alone. There's a group out there that are just like us. So I'm so happy to do this, and you are doing this with me. I cannot thank you enough.
For sure.
Okay. Moving forward, and that is the last question before I let you go and ask you to promote your business. Knowing or seeing who you are now and comparison to who you were earlier on in your younger years, what would you say to your old self, or anybody else for that matter, that does have Klippel Trenaunay or any other condition?
I would say you have to not be scared to be different. And that is really hard to do, I know, mentally, but at a young age, you can be confident and know that God made you how you are for a reason, that it is 100% going to overpower you to be able to do anything you want with your life and not hold you back.
Just as simple as that. I was while you were writing, I was taking notes to just don't be afraid to be different. And I think on one of my caption, I actually wrote that you know, it takes courage. It takes courage, but all of us, we are so unique. Our story is so unique. Just like you're telling your KTS, Klippel Trenaunay, story right now, I couldn't have done a better job. Meanwhile, we do have the same exact condition, but we are affected differently, but it's the same condition. So only you can tell your story. So I'm glad you say that. Don't be afraid to be different. And that's key. Have the courage to be bold. Amanda, you are so amazing. Before I let you go, I don't want to let you go, but I did say I'll have you on for about 10-15 minutes. I think we've already passed 10-15 minutes time.
Went fast.
Well, you're so amazing. Before I let you go, what do you do? Where can we support you? Please, you can go ahead and plug your business so we can go ahead and support.
Sure. I actually have, so my website is avwellness.com, and that is where I have all my online workouts, and also a community that I have available on Facebook is through AV Wellness LLC. So I do share a little bit about my story, and like I said, it's been a really hard thing for me mentally to get over is sharing. And I would say it was about 2 years ago I finally posted a picture of showing, what I have. And, it is amazing how many people are truly out there and will be inspired by us out there sharing. And that is what I've realized. When I posted that picture of how many people it touched and just the comments and the shares of people, I really do believe that we are made different for a reason, and that's just something that I had to let myself be able to be open enough to share. But it is, pretty exciting that we can do that. So social media is a great way to do this. On Instagram, I'm also on there as AV Wellness, and then I can be, reached through my website very easily, though. If you ever have questions, nutrition consulting, or even supplements, for someone really wanting to, for me, I'm a huge fan of trying to find ways to keep the swelling down. That is an issue that I have as my leg, the blood pools so bad because of my deep venous system shutting down. So I have found, using a lot of the right things and really trying to make sure that we keep our organs working correctly, because even if you think about toxins building up in your system, that affects blood flow. There's so much in our body. We are so amazing. So there's a lot we can learn. But yes, please reach out. I would love to answer any questions or help you guys in any way I can. So
Amanda, I cannot thank you enough. You've been great. Thank you for saying yes to get on live with me. Thank you for your willingness to do this work. Thank you for putting yourself out there. And for realizing that how powerful your voice is, and using your voice can help save a life. It can help save somebody else. I always say, had I found someone who was open to talk about whatever it was, their condition, their perfect imperfection growing up, probably I would have had, spoken earlier. I would have held on to my truth and on space earlier. Because I never found that, I am determined to be that person for anybody else in this world that is willing or who wants to be revealed. And that's why we are doing this. That's what we're here. So I said, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good job. I love your passion and your enthusiasm. So keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Have a wonderful night.